Hello, everyone. My name is Arnaud St. Paul. Hi. Hello, everyone. Today we're going to talk about I am. Why is it important? It's just that, as entrepreneurs, as humans on our journey, we all say these two magical words all the time. So this I that we're talking about so fondly. And why is it important to talk about it? Because it is actually the common denominator to all your experiences, number one. And number two, it is the actual one that defines all your different experiences. And therefore, all the obstacles, all the joyful events and happenings, all the different hurdles you're encountering are coming from this I. And so it is important to be more in tune with what that means for ourselves and how it can actually become a perception of yours. What I mean by that is that by becoming conscious of this I am that we are, we automatically open up to new possibilities of expression that unfolds into more harmonious outcome. And we all know that, as creators, we are looking for, we are seeking for that harmony, that thing that we hear inside ourselves, and we want so hardly we want to live it and live it in our world and live it in our creations. So I am, is all about finding ourselves and becoming more present to ourselves. So let's explore how this I amness of ours can be in this amazing world we're living in, right? So the first step is, what is WHOS? Well, we're here to help you change the world according to your own image. And we're here to support you every week to help you revisit some core concepts about your reality so that you can accelerate the path towards your vision. It is guided and led by a 30 years research that I created I created the Heartful Method. And I've seen that, and not only me, but all the people that I've been able to help so far, that creating a more symphonic you, a business that is more symphonic, leads to actual impact, not only for ourselves, where, our life is easier, our bank account grows, etc., but also for all the other people that are around us. So it's a very pragmatic approach to life from a spiritual/scientific standpoint. Please join us after this call. And after this presentation, you can join us on tapwhat.com/whosfree. You can scan this QR code and have a conversation with us on this topic or on any other. I is the self. I am this is the ego. Ramana Maharshi was a wise man from the beginning of the last century, so in the 1900s, and from India. And one of his teachings is that I am this or I am that is the ego that is talking, meaning it is a small part of ourselves that is currently talking, identifying with a role. We're going to go through that later anyway. In that moment, I am just that role. I'm nothing else than that, which is okay. It's great. However, we have lost for a second our core essence, connection to our core essence, which is I, or I, heart, or source, etc., which is the self. In other words, this higher vibration of or incarnation of I that is at a higher frequency and enables you to live more in tune with yourself, more in harmony with yourself. So the invitation here is to reflect between one and the other. Which one is it that I want to incarnate in this moment? Which one I want to be more in tune and in presence with it? So for the people that have attended this presentation for a while, they will see again this slide quite often. And I believe it is a very important concept that we need to ensconce in our experience, right? The fact is that this I that we're talking about, this self, is basically looking itself in the mirror. It's looking at itself in the mirror, in its what we call reality. In other words, behind who is saying I, there is that I, that heart, that pure love that is within you. And through your eyes and through your emotions and your mind, etc., it is looking at the world and most of the time forgetting itself in it, identifying so much to it that it has forgotten everything that it is too, and living life as if it was in the mirror, in the reflection, and completely forgetting all that it is too. How is it applicable? Well, the fact is that the moment you open up inside yourself to that inner world where you have consciousness of this separation between that pure essence of you and what is happening in your reality, you create such a space that it enables you to be less conditioned by the autopilot. So if you were riding a plane, we could say that you just switched off the autopilot and you are taking the helm, or it could be a boat for that matter. And taking the helm in this case is becoming aware in each moment that which I is playing out, right? Because we have many eyes. We're not necessarily looking at the same direction. And each of these eyes are diffracted. I don't know if you know this word, where you have the image going through a prism or a piece of glass, and all of a sudden you see it diffracted in many different colors. Well, here we have the same idea where through your emotions and mind, this essence of yours is diffracted into many different eyes, I apostrophe S, and are looking at the world in different ways and are experiencing the world in different ways and are actually aligning with different experiences and different happenstances. So this dance between I and the mirror is quite important to start looking into and realize and live through that. What is it that I is looking for? Is looking for more harmony, for more love. And this is the journey towards self. In other words, we're going from a fragmented I, many eyes, as I was mentioning before, to oneself. We have the illusion of being fragmented here when we are indeed always there too. The fact is that this is infinite space within, so to speak, while this I is more of a limited version of itself. It's more fragmented through identification, as I mentioned earlier. The Sultan of Valad shared, a human being must be born twice. Once from his mother and again from his own body and his own existence. Interesting, isn't it? So, in other words, could it be saying that whatever happens on the physical plane also happens inside me? In other words, I am throughout my existence, throughout this life, going through different births of myself. And therefore rebirthing towards a more expanded version of myself. This stems a series of questions that enables us to really grow into a better version of ourselves, and also feel and experience the flow, the flow dynamic of life, right? It's not anymore something static. It's something that is always flowing. And a bit like the waves with the flux and the reflux, here we are birthing and dying in very tiny little aspects or big ones, whichever. It could happen through a very tough heartbreak in a relationship with someone, or it could be just a little choice of going to the right instead of the left. And all these moments are important because they populate or they prepare you for the next step, right? And everything happens from that point of view of the I, which funnily enough in English resonates exactly the same as the physical I. Some wisdom there as well. And that I is really aligning with a specific set of events that are exactly the ones it needs. Out of all the infinite possibilities, it only lives a tiny slice of what it can be for this next moment, and then this next moment, and so on. What if we choose to open ourselves to more? And we go again to that space of opening up to ourselves, to our heart, to other possibilities that are not just necessarily the ones that we are put ourselves on autopilot, on that rail of our life. So by taking a step back and allowing things to emerge from within, we then start to have a better understanding of ourselves, a better experience of ourselves, which leads us to opening up to more expressions and also obviously more different alignments, different possibilities that can play out in our life. And when I talk about possibilities, it's whether new clients, it could be new partners, it could be existing ones that come back with a bigger bang. Anything that you're looking into will become easier. And it stems out of this choice again of, do I decide to be in my own mind and I think therefore I am, and I therefore constantly identify with my reality, I am this or that, as was mentioned earlier in the quote? Is it that I want to live in a very dispersed way, where the past and the future are paramount to my own sanity? Do I need to live through the identification to all that, to the past, to the future, to being in reaction mode instead of action mode or interaction mode? So is it something where I want to live, I choose to live reality from a mind perspective, and therefore I have to segregate, I have to judge, and many things like that? Or I am that I am, whether in this case I open up within, the world seems to be a bit further away, less identifiable, and I am less identified to it. Not saying that you're not completely, of course we are, but you become centered. Now, the only thing that is important is now. And the interaction happens instead of a reaction, which is very important. And the mind still being used, but more as a tool than the only way of living. And then starts to open new possibilities that were not envisioned before. In other words, it's still living the flow of life, which at first we're saying, this reality, this person, this house is not me. It's not, I am not this, I am not this body, etc. Neti neti in the Hindu tradition. And at some point, we realize that all this is I too, or everything. And life becomes a lot easier from then on, because then it's more of a dance, it's more of a play than an actual fight and struggle, etc. Not saying that things won't happen in your life, of course they would, but you have a very definite different point of view from then on. And it are a lot easier to handle. So the bottom line is, if we were to look at our life, right? Let's imagine for a second that it is like a movie. So yes, when I say I could look at myself as the observer, but most of the time we don't. We are more like this guy on the screen. So imagine that this is the screen here, the white screen. So this guy is the character, right? And basically it's going through the script that has been given to him by himself in this case. And it's following the rhythm and the scenes and doing what needs to be done and acting all the emotions, etc., without knowing itself. So here, let's say it's John or Sophie, and John or Sophie are doing what John and Sophie are supposed to do. They are playing their role in life. The thing is, are many more layers available to us if we decide to. One of them is the actor, meaning that all of a sudden I'm conscious that I am playing that role. I am playing that role. I'm being present. I'm being more present to myself because, yes, I'm still being the husband or the father, in my example. However, I am also conscious of being I, without definition, just being conscious of that inner essence or inner joy that happens within. And I can even be the director, meaning having a moment where I decide what is it that I want to experience. It could be setting goals, it could be having a vision, it could be placing or imagining a space where I want to live, etc. So, in other words, I'm starting to place myself in another step back and seeing what could be, right? So as you can get closer to that screen, you see how much more identification happens and therefore more drama. Likewise, or reverse, when I get further from the screen, from the character to the observer, it is less differentiated, more unconditional love, more freedom. So how close to the screen do we want to be? That is the question. Not to paraphrase Shakespeare, to be or not to be, that is the question. And the further away we're going from the screen, more inner joy, more peace, more harmony and coherence. So again, how can I be more present to itself? How can I feel? So whenever you're saying I, who is saying I, really? Wouldn't it be that there is something behind that I that is being said at that moment? What could that be? Would you care enough to get invited to visit that other part of yourself? And I can guarantee you, when you start doing that, you open up a new way of living yourself that is much more harmonious, much more coherent, more peace, more joy, and at the same time, more abundance, more easiness in every single aspect of your life. So what if we allow that to happen? What if we choose for this to happen for our lives? So now let's close our eyes and we're going to go through the poem about I am that illustrates the same concept, hopefully inviting you to experience that I amness of yours. Take a deep breath. I, center of all that is. I, mirroring what is to be. Director of all circumstances, reflection of my dreams, false attempts to be me on the true path to my truth. Infinite maze of possibilities, constant rebirth into expansion. I chooses to be all that it can be. Now is the time to choose what I am to be and live all that I am in this infinite moment of my dream. So now indeed is the time to make your choice about what is it that you want to be and whether you are truly ready to step out into your true path, to your own truth. And whichever dream you hold dear to yourself, it is there available to you if you activate, I guess, this part of you that is looking to feel more freedom and more harmonious life. So if you want more poems like this that helps you to revisit core concepts, you can purchase I is Born on tapwell.com/I. And well, if you want to join us now, please scan this QR code and we'll see you in a minute. Bye for now.